Good morning. It's February 27th, 2020. If you've seen my videos on Bitcoin dominance in the past, then you'll recognize these green areas are the bull markets in the cryptos. This is when Bitcoin dominance is dropping. We can see here in 2017 the big one, and then in 2018. The red boxes are when Bitcoin prices are dropping and Bitcoin dominance is rising. This is the rare time that we should be holding fiat currency rather than cryptos. So you can see that now we've come to a point where we've hit a top formation in Bitcoin dominance. We've come into a bit of the bull trend, but then both Bitcoin dominance rose and Bitcoin prices dropped. So through this short period of time, it was a better idea to be short in everything or holding fiat currency. What I want to do in this video is to go through Bitcoin dominance, starting off with the weekly view using our indicators and just take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin dominance, because I actually haven't done this before and I want to do this research just for my own studies. So the first thing I'm looking at is a very strong divergence here between the price and the RSI. This is a bearish divergence and pretty strong too. Like across the top here, we have another, it's a deeper low here. This is a complete discovery video for myself, so you'll have to bear with me as I go through and I actually map this out for the very first time. Okay, that's the weekly view, and we'll come back to that and check it out in a week and see what's gone on. In the daily view now, I want to see if any of these divergences are standing out to me. Certainly we got to a very deeply oversold territory here before we bounced. So right at this moment on February 15th, February 14th, this was the time to be taking profit on all of those alts. They were on a phenomenal top. They looked like they were going to keep going up, and they made a top formation and all pulled back right here. But we could see that the RSI on the daily time frame for dominance was really telling us that this was way too overextended. So now that it's pulled back this way, this is where I want to start watching for trends. If we are in a trend that is going this direction, then we should be seeing the RSI pull back and down, pull up and then hammer down, pull up and then hammer down all the way along as we're going through this trend. And I expect there to be a couple waves. I have them marked out on this chart, and they're pretty simple, just based on support and resistance from the past, but it sure nailed it well, this support and resistance from the past, backed up by the relative strength index. So now these other support and resistance levels from the past are going to be key as Bitcoin dominance, if it comes back down to these levels, these are going to be really key areas for us to be watching our indicators to see if they confirm right at those levels when we come down there. And I don't have those levels marked off here. Let's zoom in to the 12-hour time frame. Same as the 1 day time frame, pretty much. Really oversold here, massively oversold. Really didn't pay attention to it at the right moment. So I'm glad I'm doing this now. So again, if we're in that trend now, then we'll see this pull back and snap down, pull back and snap down. Right, just pulling back, snapping down, pulling back, snapping down. It's this pullback area that's going to give us our bottoms in altcoins that we're looking for, our nitro trade add-on signals for those of us who did get into the coins back at these levels. Let's continue to zoom in a little bit now, because this is the area that I'm zooming in now to see what is the divergence going on here in the relative strength index. Here's our channel. Here's the channel. So as we top out here and this starts to come down and all the alts are taking off, this is really important that this is confirming that the alts are moving. That's not a fake out. So as we move into the 1 hour time frame, now we're seeing a double top here, and really interesting to see this has come back all the way to the midline here. These trend lines I'm paying attention to, so that we've come back to this level while, prices have moved way up, RSI has stayed flat. This is the key thing, that the divergence that I'm seeing right here that's really striking to me. Even though we have this divergence along the top, this steady along the bottom while we've pulled back this way is something I really want to observe. Now we'll take a look at the MACD, and just in general, I see a 1, 2, 3 top formation with the MACD weekly crossing just after the number 1 point in our 1, 2, 3 top formation. That is pretty bearish. However, it doesn't look like we're going to be going strong and fast. This is easing up now, just at this last histogram. So if this is easing up and starts to pull back, then we're going to go sideways for a while in the alts, rather than going on the strong trend. So now I'm watching for not only the crossover from our larger 1, 2, 3 here, but now I am getting the flavor of where does this pullback stop. We're underneath support and resistance levels, so a top formation here is really, really key, super important, and we'll be watching for this to cross over and go the other way, and pay attention to what the weekly is doing. In the 12-hour time frame, this should give us more advanced warning as to when this breaks. We've got the trend, and as this top formation goes, the 12-hour will cross. Let's zoom into the 4-hour. All right, so we have higher crosses here, but it hasn't crossed underneath this yet. We haven't got this crossover. So let's zoom into the 1-hour time frame. And here we have a 1 blow off, 2, 3 top, coming down and retesting that top level while we have the crossover here. The thing that I'm not liking is any kind of histogram pullback here is good, meaning that we're going sideways more instead of going this way. So it may be that we're coming back up to test this again, and this will come up and cross and then go down again. So it'll cross and cross again. We'll see how this turns out. Now let's go into the Ichimoku cloud. We're looking at Bitcoin dominance in the weekly view. So here's our 2017 run and 2018. Then we've been in this long crypto winter that is topping out with a 1, 2, 3 top formation. So there's two things I'm watching for here in this weekly chart. First of all, I see this crossover. This is good. That's good for alts. This is bearish for Bitcoin dominance, which means that alts would be going up. However, we're bouncing off a green cloud. Should the blue line cross back above the red, that's not good. That would mean just a lot more sideways action for altcoins, and maybe even Bitcoin dominance growing more yet. So really paying attention to how this is unfolding is going to be key. However, boy, this is nice, because when we get into the daily view, there's a couple things I'm seeing here now too. This is not easy. We do have the bullish for the alts set up here, bearish for Bitcoin dominance coming down. The cloud has got thicker, which generally means more sideways action. And we see the blue line crossing above the red right there. So the more sideways we go, I'm going to be really watching this blue and the red line here over the next few days. This is the daily chart. So over the next few days, we'll have to watch this blue and this red line to see how are they turning out. So there are two scenarios, of course. One is that we go back up through the cloud and the blue line will stay above the red this way. The other is that we are going to go sideways into the cloud. The blue will cross back below the red. And when it crosses back below the red, that is a sell signal, which means a buy signal in the altcoins. So I love that we can come to such specific chart patterns that we can watch to decide when this happens, we're going one direction. When the other thing happens, we're going the other direction. And they're really clear, specific measurables. Here on the 12-hour, this is good. This is more bullish because we got the blue crossing over the red. We're coming up through the cloud, but it hasn't twisted positive yet. So that means that if it twists positive, then Bitcoin dominance is going up and the alts are getting crushed. So we don't want this to twist positive. This is more of a bullish stance. It's got to come and twist. The blue has got to come and twist over the red here for altcoins to be taking off. So when this does twist, and I mean, when the blue line does cross below the red here, that is definitely a sell signal, definitely a buy signal in the altcoins. We just have to always flip this data upside down. The 4-hour is also pulled back pretty strong, but we have not crossed yet. This is still Bitcoin dominance gaining strength. It hasn't shown us that top formation manifest fully yet. In the 1-hour time frame, we are just getting it. This is where we're starting to get the 1, 2, 3 top formation. The blue has crossed below the red. The trailing indicator is starting to cut through everything. And when this twists to red, as we're breaking below these levels and we're starting to cut below this cloud, this is going to start the cascade. If altcoins are taking off, this will happen on the 1 hour time frame, then it'll happen on the 4 hour, and then on the 12, and everything will keep going. It'll pull itself along like a slinky. So great to see this on the 1 hour time frame. This is the kind of confirmation I was really wanting. Now, looking at Bitcoin dominance in the Bollinger Bands is a little different story. We can see that we are below this moving average, which is bullish for alts. That we have come up and stopped against this and slid back a little bit is bullish for alts, bearish for Bitcoin dominance. As we come into the daily Bollinger Bands now, I'm looking for a different signal altogether. In addition to the 1, 2, 3s, I'm always looking for those, but now I'm searching out for anytime the price comes up in between the second and third standard deviation and starts to pull back. Those are potential mean reversion sell signals or altcoins getting stronger. Let's zoom in. Here again, the 12 hour is doing the mean reversion. It poked outside of the third standard deviation and then pulled back. Those are signals. Let's zoom in on the 4 hour time frame because it's not quite the same power of a mean reversion. I was looking for it to be outside of the third standard deviation and on the 4 hour and on the 12 hour, but not quite here. So it got up in between the standard deviations and pulled back. Let's see what's going on in the 1 hour time frame. This is where we did see the 1, 2, 3 top formation and the signal setting up on the Ichimoku cloud, which is bullish for the alts from here. All of the alts are making this 1, 2, 3 pattern right now. So if I go back over to this chart that has no indicator right now below it, and I take this and I invert this, this is pretty much what many of the alts are looking like. But let's go into the daily. Let's zoom into the 12 hour because this is where most of us are trading. We've seen these bottoms in September, the 1, 2, 3 bottoms of September. We had a little bit of a bull market. No, it failed. A little bit of a bull market. No, it failed. And you know, there were specific markets that did really better than other markets during this period of time. We had some great gains. And our bull market watch really filtered out which ones were doing the best. Then we had another 1, 2, 3 bottom here, and we've got some amazing gains set up from these markets. If we take a look at our list right here, we're up 100%, 154%, 81%, 97%, 123%. These are our cryptocurrency alerts, and you can see the history of them here. And so through this period of time, we were able to rack up some really great gains, even though the markets have pulled back. Those original markets, those ones that we were paying attention to out of these bottoms, some of them earlier bottoms, those ones that worked, we kept them, and they are setting up wonderful. Many of the other coins have pulled back dramatically. Some of them have pulled back way back to their early January levels from here. So going through the bull market watch and seeing which coins are fitting where on the bell curve, right? This is the average of everything, but some of them are doing much better than others. Some are doing much worse. They've pulled back much more strongly. So each one has to be reviewed and analyzed, and we have to get in now and take a good look at the altcoin itself to see, has it come back to prior support and resistance levels, and is it making a 1, 2, 3 formation right now? These are the things we're paying attention to. We're really watching closely, especially on the 4 hour and the 12 hour time frames. So there is time yet for this to finish, make its 1, 2, 3, and then start its way up. If this was an altcoin that had already blasted off from September, January, it's pulled back a little bit now. We're consolidating. We're looking for a nitro trade entry in most all of these right now. And I hear Bitcoin is taking off in the background. Yep. There again, we see this divergence in our MACD indicator. We've got the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation setting up right now in Bitcoin right off that $8,500 level, and it's taking off as we're watching. We're on the 15-minute time frame, so this is zoomed right into the very small, but the altcoins are going to be doing much the same thing. It's going to be an important moment to be making decisions in the altcoins right now. So next week, I'll go through this Bitcoin dominance chart again. We'll sweep through the weekly. We'll go from the weekly, work our way all the way down, and we're going to track this all the way through until we get to these support and resistance levels, and we're going to take action on these top formations. We are going to anticipate these top formations at these levels. We're going to watch for them, and we're going to take action on them. We're going to reduce part of our position. Should we come back to these levels and make a 1, 2, 3, we're going to add back onto our positions. So that'll be for our next episode. Be sure to hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys over on our Discord chat.